All right, let's get rolling. Today, well, first, thanks you guys for all coming. Today, I just wanted to give you guys kind of a 30,000-foot view of what it would look like if you were to move from Tribute to TrulinX. I think you'll find it quite fascinating. For those that know the history of the company, Tribute was written back. It started being written back in '77. They finished it in '81. And in 1981, they rolled it out at the VW Rogers Company in Akron. And then shortly thereafter, they decided to sell it to other companies. And there was 5 companies that bought it in 1981, and many of which still use it today. And some of them, most of those companies have switched. Maybe there's 1 or 2 left. Actually, I think there's 2 left from '81. So you'll see the benefits and the reasons why you should make that investment. More so than you're on technology that's 40 years old, which is pretty darn impressive that it's still working so well. But just by looking at the screen alone, though, will give you an idea of how far the technology's come. And obviously, it's continually to be improved and enhanced. What you're seeing today is some of the newer technology with the we call the dashboards and the widgets, right? So now you'll have buttons and graphs and charts, and we've done a lot of neat things here. You'll be able to take things and drag them across the screens. You'll be able to, once you've created a screen that you like, you can lock it down so people can't change it. You can also, if you create a screen, for example, by department, you're able to share that with that department. You can hit the share button, email it to certain people, and at that point, they can all have the exact same screen. So you've got consistency amongst a department and also across branches or locations. You can also, and then they'll be able to import it at that end. And then, so there's all kinds of cool things that you can do from that perspective. And then we're going to be adding inquiries as we go along. And then, for example, if you want to let this inquiry here is this past due purchase orders, if you want that, you can just drag it over here and it will add it to your screen. And then in this case, I've got it locked down, so I can't change it. But so you can play around with these things and then restore it back to its original value if you want. But there's all kinds of neat things you can do. There's some charts and that we've created as well. There's a salesman down here. There's a work instructions timeline here. So there's a lot of neat things. And just like most Windows application, there's a file find. So if you want any program that has the word BOM in it, you just type in BOM and it brings back all programs that have BOM. If I'm looking for the sales order inquiry screen, I can punch that in, find it, just double click on it. And which leads me to my next thing. You have the ability to customize all the inquiry screens and do some really powerful things. For example, I want to look at all the open orders in my territory, in my location, and anything that's been in the last 12 weeks. So it will quickly go and return those values. And now I can say, listen, I want anything that has the PO with 2024 in it only. So you can just, there's a filter, if you can see here above each one of these columns, right? I can click that, punch in 2024, and it will immediately return values of only the POs that 2024. I have literally exactly 20 years of history in the system that you're seeing today. So to give you an idea to the kind of response time you're seeing here. The neat thing is, you also have the ability, if you right click, the power of this thing is truly amazing. For example, you can sort these columns in ascending or descending order. You can change the way it's sorted. Right now I have it sorting by the PO, but that doesn't make any sense. Obviously, I want to sort it by the sales order. So I can change the sorting criteria of how it's displayed. If I don't want to see this here, I can remove it, or I can just drag it over, and I want to put it somewhere else. I can move it over here. And like I said, I can hide columns, right? Hide this column here. There are so many fun things you can do. You can have it best fit all the columns. There's just a lot of neat things you can do. And then once you get it the way you like it, it'll retain those values. So my screen could look different than somebody else's screen for that same inquiry screen. So it's truly amazing what you can do with these inquiry screens. And this holds true of all the inquiry screens. And I think the most powerful thing, though, is these searching values, because if you're dealing with a customer that buys a lot of stuff from you, or you're looking up some values where there's hundreds or thousands of records, you can find it instantaneously. And you'll see me do that a couple more times as we go forward. So, excuse me. Let's jump into a quote real quick. And so a couple of things. You have the ability to create user-defined fields. There's a lot of customers out there that have certain requirements that we're not going to have fields for. Let's use Halliburton. If you're dealing with people in the oil field, for example, these fine folks have all kinds of crazy stuff. They have oil rigs out in the middle of nowhere. They've got multiple oil rigs out there, with one address, like dirt, right? So they have specific things that they need on their paperwork. And so they need to know their oil rig location. So these are things that you need to capture when they place an order with you. And obviously we don't have these fields in our system. So it would ask this, and that's what you can have this print on specific documents. So that's an example for Halliburton. Merck, if you're dealing with the pharmaceutical industry, they also have a lot of unique things. This particular customer wants us to track, like, who's calling in. I'll show you there's another way to handle that. On the same address, they have multiple buildings, so they want to keep track of that. Same thing with Johns Hopkins University. They have they require a destination number, and they also require, again, the same address. There's actually 3 buildings, so when they deliver the product there, they need to know where it goes, so it just doesn't sit somewhere. So these are some kind of neat things that occur that you can go into this user-defined field maintenance. You can go set these up by customer, and there's some really in-depth things. You can have it. I'll show you another one real quick. It allows you to validate some fields. You can have spin boxes. You can have dates. Here's a good example here. Like, I created this. When they come in to pick up the materials, you can create date boxes. You can create, validate, just these are the only things you can pick from the buyer. So there's a lot of unique things you can do that would allow you to better service your customers and make it a better experience overall for them.
Hey, Bill, I'm going to ask you a quick question. With that feature, does it have the ability to make it a required field so people don't forget to fill it in, but only required when you turn it to an order? Because we have it where we made it a required field in the quote module in Tribute, and they don't have that information yet because we're just quoting it. So it's kind of like, so then we turned off required field and then they forget to do it. So you can set it.
So there's a required button.
Okay, so if it's required, it would automatically make them fill it in even at the time of quote. But we're more worried about having that information at the time of order processing. But okay, don't keep going. I don't want to lose your train of thought.
When they won't let them pass that field. So when they go to update it, it will be in that field because they won't get past it.
Okay.
And then these are all the forms that would be on screens, and then you'd have a list here as well. So I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but that was quick enough to answer that question. You're good. And then there's also like this credit card feature, just real quick, you can pre-authorize. And a lot of people are getting scammed now. They're shipping to Egypt, or they're shipping some place that kind of shady. So you can actually set a pre-authorization. And when you go to update the quote to an order, it'll validate that credit card and do a soft inquiry and make sure that there's money on that credit card before you update it. So that's kind of a neat thing. Let me use a better customer. I'll have all kinds of issues here. So let's jump into some neat stuff here. Another thing too is a lot of people don't use these pop-ups. I think these are vital. If I was running a business, allows everybody to stay on the same page. So no matter who they talk to, the receptionist, the person in the shop, we're all equal. We should all be able to answer the same question at the same time. So it's important you take advantage of these kind of things. You should also, at every phone call, regardless of what it is, you should be capturing who's calling in. I have it set. This is a system parameter option. Well, it will stop on every call and ask who's calling. It'll tell you, their phone number, what department they're in. So it won't let you get past that unless you actually pick somebody off that screen. And that's, again, a switch selectable option. So when you get past that, again, those are only take seconds, but a couple things is if you know the part, again, and believe it or not, there's still systems out there today where you'll have the same part number set up 3 different ways, right? With dashes, spaces, periods. Our system won't let that happen, right? So I didn't put those in, and he's got those strip logic. We've had that in there from day one, but believe it or not, a lot of our competitors to this day still allow you to set that part number up. Obviously here you'd have to hit the add button, but ours does the strip logic. So it quickly finds it. This is what's really cool too. When you're in the system here, you can actually, right from within our software, you can actually open up web pages. So I can go to the catalog right within our software. So as I'm talking to the customer, I can actually open up a catalog and email it to them while we're talking to them on the phone, which is pretty darn impressive. So that's kind of cool. Also, you can look at the picture drawing and schematic while I'm on the phone with them. Via 2 clicks of a button, I can draw on it. I can send it to them while we're on the phone and say, listen, let's look at this thing together. And these are the things that differentiate you over your competition. Our distributor base is dealing against Motion, Applied, Grainger, MasterCard, right? You have to be able to have things like this in order to compete in this world we're living today. So you've got to be able to do things like this where you can draw and then email to them or be able to see these things. And I'll get into this a little bit more, but those are the things that will set you apart and then change your customer experience to the point where they're like, wow, these people got it together. They've really upped their game. So going from Tribute to TrulinX, these are the things I'm telling you right now, your customers will be calling you saying, oh my goodness sakes, these people have really upgraded their technology. What a difference. Just finding stuff too, right? You have what's called a key sequential file database. All that means is when it's doing a search, it's searching from left to right, where we're doing what's called embedded searches. So I can do a discharge gasket, and it's going to search for these keywords in the database. And you'll see more of that as I go. And once again, there's a CAD drawing on file, right? If you're stamping out gaskets, and I don't know if anybody's doing that, but you'll be able to see the CAD drawing or the die for the gasket online. You can, again, send it along with the quote. So also we have, you're selling engineered products. Howard, I talked a little earlier, you're selling valves, for example. There's 100 different types of valves, right? There's gate valves and pressure valves. So you need multi-level searching. So you click right here. In this case, I'm looking for some fuel hose ferrules for something. Well, let's start off with the word ferrule. You know how many ferrules there are? In this case, I got 85 in stock. So I just want anything that's got applied for fuel hose. And there was a search down, quickly found it. And you got to be able to do this stuff quickly, right? And then once again, I like to have the pictures online. Just take your picture, take your phone out back, take pictures of these things, and upload them, and off your races to go. And just like you can do now also in Tribute, you can put the customer's part number in. So the customer's part number in this case is hose kit 44-34, which unless you can't type. Oh no, I use the wrong customer, but you can put the customer's part number in. I was using somebody else, but so as I go through this, it's keeping running total, and you can see it's actually putting the total at the top here, so you don't have to tab through screens, right? And you've got your total margin here, then you have the margin at the line level, as you can see. So it's kind of nice if you want to go back, so you're not tabbing through screens to get to that total. And if you deal with, go back here too. If I want to change the customer on the fly, I can do that as well. This is kind of some neat stuff here. So if I want to do, let's say I typed the wrong one, it should have been Sunbelt Chemical. I can change this to Sunbelt Chemical. And you can see this is our best customer here. And another neat thing is too, is that we're linked to the Postal Service, right? So if I come up here and say, oh, they want this drop shipped to their customer. So all I got to do is I'll type in the zip code, and it will validate this against the Postal Service, right? This is integrated, and it will actually clear out all the taxing fields automatically so you don't screw up. And then you can go ahead and just make those adjustments here. That's a game changer in my opinion, because people screw up all the time, and taxes are screwed up all the time and all that good stuff. So again, that quickly, if you can see what I'm doing, I actually change the customer on the fly. I did a drop ship on that customer after I changed that customer. These things, it's just amazing what you can do so quickly right? And then I'm gonna go back, and now that I have that customer in, I'm gonna do that example I was talking about, the customer part number, and now it works. So I change the customer. You can see there's the customer's part number. And then you can see this is a bill of material because it's got a build version, checkbox, multiple. And then you've got, we call this a tree view, right, of the bill of material. You got your pick ticket view. You can see if you got enough components of another kit. And then you got your work order here. You can modify the bill of material on the fly while you're talking to a customer. And this bill of material, he said, hey, real quick, I know I bought that last week. I want another one. Can you please add some spring guard? You said, no problem. I got you covered. Within seconds, you should be able to do this thing. I can sort through this. You need to type a little bit more. And then I can find that spring guard. There is nobody in the industry who can do it this fast. I can assure you, I've been doing this a long time, and the people are amazed that they can do it this quick. It says, by the way, by adding a spring guard, it's going to add, $1.50 to the order. It's going to flash twice, and it's going to tell you that it's updated the price, and you're good to go. You want to see it just like Microsoft Word, you hit print preview. It's going to show you a picture of the order before you email this off. And so it comes up. So it'll show you what I did. You got your obviously your logo, your tagline here. If you've got any credit card charges or delinquent charges for the invoice. Again, I don't like to show the details, so I show what we call the aliases, or you want to hide the description of the actual componentry. And then you just hit send an email and open up my Outlook. I don't want to do that. I'll attach those pictures and CAD drawings and things like that, and off to the races I go. The neat thing is when I hit update and it hit post in the PO, I want it yesterday, so you hit yesterday. I put in estimate freight, give them a ballpark, so it's gonna send an advanced shipping notification. It's gonna actually send sales order acknowledgement first. This is pretty cool. So by virtue of me hitting update from a quote to an order, it could generate up to 4 different documents. So the first thing it did was updated the quote to the order, in which in turn it printed a pick ticket. It could have generated a work order, and also could generate a purchase order, and it generated sales order acknowledgement. So in turn, it actually could have generated up to 4 documents at one click of a button. This sales order acknowledgement immediately was sent within seconds. So the customer got this document while I was on the phone with them. As soon as I hung up, and it just says, is this what we heard? You've got 1 hour to get back before I start working on this thing, because once I start cutting and assembling and whatever, I'm not taking it back. So I would acknowledge every single order, especially in today's day and age when people are a little crazy. So that shoots out automatically. And then out back, I don't have a printer, that's why I'm doing that. So out back, I would print both a pick ticket and a work order, because it was a bill of material. If it was just a distributor order, it would just print the, you can see there's multiple documents. So that's the pick ticket right here. And here's the work order. In this case, this happens to be a hydraulic hose, so it prints the crimp specs, the workflow instructions, the lot, what hose to pull, and then the hose assembly work order. So again, it's generating multiple documents. So at that point, he or she will go to a screen out in the shop. This is equivalent to OS and Tribute. So he or she will confirm that they pulled the material. There's actually 2 work orders, right? So they're just going to set that they completed that. Actually, that's the final one there. It's here. Just saying I did that. And it's just making sure that, I have lock control turned on, and saying what reel of hose did you use. You take it from the 680 or the 100. So I'm just relieving the inventory from the proper reel of hose. So that's from the hose assembly. And then and it's also telling me that you need to tag these things before you go ahead and ship them. That's the material. And it says, okay, this is going UPS. So obviously we're integrated to UPS, so this would fill this in automatically. So we're going to pretend that it filled it in, click OK. And now the packing slip just printed out. It says it's successfully created a packing slip and an invoice. So I'll show you that. So the packing slip printed out. So here is your packing slip. There's some customization, whether you want to show the back order and things of that nature at the customer level. I don't have time to get into that today, but you have some customization at the form level. Excuse me. And then the invoicing I have it set to go now, but you can set it to go once a day at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right? You can set that go every day at 4:24 or 5:24. I'm going to say go now, and I'll show you what the invoice looks like. That's what the invoice would look like as it's already gone. So here's your invoice. It's got your taxing authority breakdown, so you can actually see the different taxing authorities and any notes. Again, you can customize. You got a lot of real estate of customization here and here, obviously, and obviously in here, up here. So we give you quite a bit of real estate to play customization with.
So your invoicing is real time, but yet you can set it to send a batch, all the emails for that customer at a certain time of day. That's what I just saw you do.
That is correct. Trying to think what else. I think, let's see. So that's a simple order. I just want you to see the flow of it. I'll show you a more complicated order where the wheels fall off the bus. This customer is the biggest pain in the neck when nothing goes right. This is waste management. I started doing this a minute ago. This is a real live example from BW Rogers. I was able to take this with me because I thought it was pretty funny because this was actually on their screen where they wouldn't pay their invoice if you didn't get their PO number, get a PO number from them, or didn't use their collect number. So they didn't have this in there, but they just said make sure you get this information. So you could have it stop at those fields. I don't for the purpose of the demos, but it did stop here, here, and here, right? I do have it stopping at the name, so I can track who's calling in, so I can chase them down if I need to. So if you're doing surcharges, it's pretty cool. So this customer is looking for some stainless steel male connectors. The CSR doesn't even have to know about this. It'll do it automatically. Just so you can see, they don't even know this, but it actually creates a separate line item automatically. I put it in there, tells them. And if you want to see what it looks like, this is what the customer is going to see on the actual documentation to them. So it creates a separate line, lets them know there's a 7% surcharge or whatever, obviously percent you decide to put in there, but I just want you to see that. That's kind of cool. And then if you price negotiate, just like you have now in the margin feature on Tribute, same thing basically. They want 2 of these and you say that's 309. So we put it in bold here. And they say, are you kidding me? I can get that thing from Motion for $2. You just click this pricing button, hit the calculator here. Same kind of concept here. They want it for $2, right? At 32% at 325, but let's say they want it for 250. I'm not going to do it at 12%. But let's say I try to sell this thing at 15%. It's going to stop and say, you can't go that margin. The lowest we have it set for 25%. You can set up email tasks, so it'll notify somebody if they try to go below a certain margin you've defined. Because typically, obviously, in your businesses, the break evens are on 18% to walk in the business. So I don't want to continue because I don't want to have to go visit with Howard and get yelled at. So I'm going to come back in here and change it and say the best I can do man-hour service 293. So they're going to come back and say, are you freaking kidding me? Jeff Wade sells me these things all day long at $1. One click of a button, I got 20 years worth of sales history, right? You can say, I'm sorry, you're lying. 305, 297. Now this is another example, which is pretty darn impressive. They said, you know why you sold it to me at $1? Because I bought 1,000. Now, how much at 1,000? And I don't remember when it was. So all you do is come up to this field right here, right? Remember I told you about the filter. Click that. All you do is start typing in 1,000 and watch. It just starts pulling up those invoices. It quickly went to 1,000. And so that invoice was 330 at 1,000. That was 20 years ago, over 20 years ago. So that it quickly found it that quickly. So any one of these headings, you can search invoices going back 20 years that quickly. So that's pretty darn impressive. You can also see the pricing matrix right above here. So if there's any quantity breaks, you can upsell them. Your people should be upselling. You should be saying, listen, if you buy 3 more, I'll give you another 5% off. So you've got that visibility while you've got the customer on the phone. So this is where I would be living if I was in customer service, because you got 4 of the most important buttons right here. While we're here, your part number is 28, ours is 80. Your short subscription is 15, ours is 100. Your long description is 44. I hope I'm remembering these things. Ours is 255. So you can see you can get pretty crazy with all that stuff. My favorite feature is you get this call every day, all day. Hey, 6-8 months ago, I bought this 3/8 Desert Fox high temperature hose for me. I need some more. You say, what was the part? Can you tell me more? No, you're the distributor. You should know. One click of a button, you got it, right? You just hit often ordered, but they buy thousands of things from you, right? In the last 12, 8 months, whatever it is. Again, that magic button here, click here, and they said Desert Fox or something like that. So I was just going to type in Fox, and boom, there it is. That quickly it found it. Hit select, brings it back. They wanted 25 feet. Now, if you watch here, everything I normally sell it's in inches, but they want it in feet this time. So if you look here, everything's in inches. The minute I type in FT for feet, it does instantaneous unit measure conversion, which is really cool. And then they say, wait a minute, how much is it? $4.95? Are you kidding me? It was $3 last time. 2 clicks of a button, right here. History. No, it was $4.44. It was not $4. So that quick. If you can't answer the question in 3 to 5 seconds, it's taken too long. That's just in my opinion. So, and we can do that. I've role played this thing 1,000 times, if not more. And I think any scenario that you could throw at me, we can do in 3 to 5 seconds. Another cool thing is Brennan has this on in Excel so almost all of the manufacturers, competitive cross reference. They're buying Air-Equip MPT steel quick couplers, but you're a Parker distributor, or the other way around. They give you the Air-Equip part number and it brings back Parker. I've got every cross-reference adapter for in here because Brennan has it, and you can get this from your suppliers and upload that in the vendor catalog. But just having that, think how valuable that is if they call you up, you're a valve distributor, power units or anything for that matter. You'll be able to punch in the competitor part and bring back yours. So lot tracking, this is really more for your really expensive linear stuff. If you are in the automation business, this would be like your 80/20, your aluminum extrusions. If you're in the hose business, this would be for your industrial Teflon metal hose. If you're in the, if you have tubing or nylon or things that you're going to want to keep track of anything linear. So look, this is some expensive hose. This 100R17. Again, they want 25 feet. Again, you can see it starts off in inches. Everything's in inches. I switch it to feet. It says there's 815 feet. That's impossible because the largest linear piece of this is 700 feet on a reel. So I don't even know if I have a piece that's 25. Let's make it more of a challenge and say it's 125 they want. So basically 3 clicks, 1, 2, 3. I can see that I've got a 7-foot piece of scrap, a 10-foot, 3-foot piece of scrap, and I've got 2 reels sitting out there. Every other distributor I've ever walked in, I've been in over close to 2,400. They have to put them on hold. They got to run out back and look. They got to call back there. They have no idea if there's a piece big enough to handle that. This takes that out of the equation. So again, you can do that with 80/20 or any kind of linear thing, chrome rod, anything that's linear. So it's pretty cool. Like if you're selling conveyor belt, I think they're not on, but you can do it with that as well. Let's see, 48. So you can see that you've got a 48 by 200, 48 by 500, a 48 by 400 with a tail. So it comes in handy for a lot of different variables. Lost sales, if you track that, you've got some basic functionality here. They're looking for this Humphrey 3-way air valve. In this case, it's telling me that I should be calling the factory that Normally they don't stock these. We're already in the hole for 3. Customer needs them. I can check with item availability. My branch in Hawaii and my board bar branch doesn't even have them anyways. And the customer says it's not that important. So you come over here, I created a user defined. I have a query written off of that. And then I have my user defined fields that I created that, which I showed you that drop down list that I created earlier on that one screen. And then I've got a Excel query that I've written that that runs off of that. So substitutions, every distributor needs this. Most people don't set it up because they think it's not worth the time, but it is worth the time in my opinion. They're looking for a particular item, 50 feet of this, I don't have it. You always should sell within your 4 windows, right? So here just tells me I don't have that type of hose, but I've got other brands. If you're in the hose business, and sorry for keep using hose, but everybody sells industrial hose, sells 4 or 5 different brands. Same thing with couplings, right? Even if you're selling fluid power, same thing. But so you have multiple brands, so you're going to want to sell that. So set up your substitution features if you haven't done that. Another cool thing when you get to this technology, I keep finding cool things that our system can do that I didn't realize till I started playing around with it. This is a safety brake locking system. This is a manufacturer called Myco application system. When they go to sell one of these, since it's an engineered product, they have to fill out a form, manufacturer specific form. So what I did was I loaded PDF here, and while they're on the phone with the customer, they can actually fill this out while they're talking to the customer on the phone, right? And then go through and ask them all the questions. And when they're done, all they do is have to hit submit the email, and actually literally emails this thing right from our system to the manufacturer while I'm in our software. So I just keep finding really cool things that you can do. So just think about this. As I'm talking to this customer, I am filling this thing out. And when I'm done, I just hit submit and off it goes to the supplier. So, and there's a lot of manufacturers I've had these set up for that I showed during the presentation, and people are blown away by this. So again, there's all kinds of neat things you can do, just like in that catalog thing. So reserve stock. Everybody has 2 or 3 customers that you have to have inventory for, right? If they call you, you better have it. They're going to go somewhere else, or you've got a contract with them, some kind of mutual agreement, either a handshake or something in writing, or a contractual contract. So let's find one here. Let's see, 16.
That's an anchor flange, man. Those are good old days.
You ain't lying, buddy. You got you got good memory. So, we have a feature built into our software called reserved inventory. It allows you to go in and load in the customer, a start and ending date, a contract number, and how many you want to set aside for them. There's also a new feature came out in the last release that says you can ignore that feature till it hits a certain quantity, then this kicks in, which I thought was really brilliant, whoever came up with that. But this protects that inventory. So for example, if somebody else calls up other than them, it'll, if the quantity is 6 or less, it's not going to say there's any available. If these guys call up, it'll say there's 2. If they call up, it'll say there's 4. So it's pretty slick. And I'll show you, if you click this button right here, it tells me there's 9 in this building, correct? So let me just make sure, because I got multiple branches set up. So I have 9 here. If I come over to this item overview screen here, if I highlight what we used to call those Easter eggs a long time ago, but you can see in that little window there, there's 9 on hand. We've got 3 committed for orders, and those 6 are reserved. You can see that right there in that little box, and there's 13 on inbound or on purchase orders. And so if you come up here, you can look at those. There's the ones that are committed. Those are the 3 sales orders that are committed. Those purchase orders that we just talked about, the 13, right? So this is this is your like your IKQ right here. This is the pick and hold stuff. But so that's kind of a neat feature right there. And it's as simple as, I don't want to get too off the beaten path, but it's as simple as, and it's set at the branch level as well. Just click right here, and it's putting the reserved quantity in the contract, the start date, the end date, the reserved, and then you can say ignore reserved until the quantity falls below a certain number. So blocking my, so let's see what else we got. Oh, this is cool. If you don't have warehouse, if you haven't invested in warehouse too, you're crazy, because, and it crosses over all of our markets. Fluid power hose, all of them. Dixon is, in my opinion, again, the best manufacturer on the hose side. But so if I'm looking for some of these parts right here, and I need 10 of them, obviously it's gonna, and if you notice, it turns red if there's a constraint. Again, the first thing you should be training your CSRs to is hit substitutions. And so I don't have any of those. Plan B would be to check my other branches. I don't have any there, but down here, these are all the other distributors within a certain radius of my building, so I can send a driver over there, right? These are obviously competitors, but at the same time, who cares? I'm going to go send a driver over to steal these things or order them from them and have it shipped to me. This is invaluable. Warehouse 2 does two things, basically. It allows you to buy and also gets rid of your excess and dead stock and overstock. It's a no-brainer decision. Even I think at the highest levels, $299 a month. It's free for the first 5 vendors, I believe, and it's $99 for 10. I don't know the specific pricing, but it's a no-brainer. So take the time, look into it if you haven't, because it's worth the time and the money. Drop ship is pretty cool. About where it's from. We don't build these and stop. This is an example here where we drop ship this. So purchasing put this in because we don't want to do this in house because we don't have the expertise that put on T cleats and B guides and all that stuff. So by notifying it, you can set up that this is always drop shipped, or you can do it on the fly by just hitting this button, this tab here, 3, hitting ship direct, at which point that'll create a ship direct PO. If I don't click that, it'll create a stock transfer. It can also create a plan PO as well, so which is equivalent of a mock PO on Tribute. So it's pretty simple just to do that as well. Then you can actually put an estimated freight dollars in here too if you want to get more accurate. But that's how easy it is to do. And there's also set up places to have that filled in automatically, so you don't even have to go to that screen if you want. But I wanted you just to see how simple it was to click a box to create a drop ship PO on the fly. So there are things still. In the olden days, there was a thing called standard pack quantity. It's kind of dwindled. It was big a long time ago, but it still exists with O-rings and filters and stainless steel stuff, expensive stuff. But if you're buying things in standard pack quantities, you do not want salespeople breaking those. So, for example, if I try to sell 3 of these, it says we buy these in standard packs of 5. Please do not sell those in 3. So you can have it stop, either warn or force them to sell them in standard packs. So that just protects you and your profits. And it's a real easy setup right there. 2008. Most of you experienced the economy crashing. One of our customers came to us and said, I need you to fix the system to protect us from selling second and third tier supplier products. So we came up with a feature called core items or preferred is what it's called in our software. So you have the ability to go in by part number within a certain category or product line and say for half-inch short shanks, we represent 7 or 8 of these, right? Pretty typical in this industry. And so the ones in green are my primary suppliers. These people I buy from all day long. I get free freight. I order once a week from these people. I get annual returns, right? The ones in black, they're my second tier. That's my go-to if I don't have them on my major suppliers. The ones in red, those are called non-preferred. If I buy from them, 99% of the time I'm gonna get my money back if I have to return them. So we're gonna have to eat it. Go to them, last resort. So you could do that. It just keeps the old saying, eye on the prize. You want your sales folks to focus on the ones that are high profit and you buy and get the biggest discount when you buy those. So it's a pretty slick feature right there. RFQs, request for quotes. I know people do this all day long. We've had a really slick feature. I'm looking, the customer's asking for 500 feet of this. Let's just say 125 feet of this sandblasting hose. They're a big construction company on the mines. And we're already short some. So I can flip to the other screen, hit the RFQ button here, put in the quote number I'm working on, hit all vendors. And then at this point here, it'll tell me anybody I've ever bought it from. I click post, and then it will automatically send those out as I'm talking to the customer. And I just let it know I'm at this location, so it sends those back to me. And it's automatically emailed as we speak. You'll see them pop up, a request for quote as I'm talking to the customer. So hopefully by the end of the conversation, I start getting some of these emails back because they want to sell me this stuff. But look how fast you did that. Just so that's kind of a neat feature right there, getting those RFQs out. So I don't think people fax anymore, but
Hey, Bill, does the email keep like a history? Does it kind of link to your Outlook so then you can at least have record that you did send that out, or is it all through TrulinX? Is TrulinX keeping track of that send?
that is way above my pay grade. There's like really smart people on there. If somebody
Okay.
wants to jump in and answer that question, they can, or can save it for another day. But I'm sorry, Hart, I can't answer that question.
Okay.
I can jump in real quick. So it depends on how it's being emailed. If you're emailing like a quote and using the send to email, then that's going to be all through your Outlook client. If TrulinX is auto emailing for you, then TrulinX is responsible for tracking that. So there's an inquiry that you would be able to use to see all of your historical auto emailing data based on document and things like that.
All right. So TrulinX will display it because right now with Tribute, most everybody emails it to themselves first and then sends it. So we have a trail because there's no proof that we sent it. So I just wanted to make sure that there was proof that it was sent in case, that were to be a problem. So good. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah.
Non-stock, nobody can do it faster than us in the whole wide world, from what I'm being told. I'm going to sell something we don't have. I'll go a little bit. Let's do a part you don't have, hopefully. So you hit add, quantity, unit of measure, type of description, click OK. This happens to be a Dixon part. These are 66.74 a piece. You can put in like 255 character long description if you feel like it. It's a Dixon part. I'm going to get it from Maryland office. And this happens, these are all the different categories. It's the Dixon fitting. I'm getting a multiplier of 0.65. I am done. That's 15 seconds, 10, but nobody can do it that fast for any software in the world. I can guarantee it. So you can take that to the bank. I mentioned earlier about power units. This is really slick. I don't have time to do it today, but just to see some of the documents you can do on a power unit, and I have multiple rev levels too, but I'll just show you some of the stuff that you can attach to a power unit. It's pretty slick. 800 parts this thing, but this is some of the stuff you can do. So I have CAD drawings for each of the sub-assemblies, and it's taking a minute. My little PC here is struggling with all these documents. So I've got lots of stuff, right? But just to give you the idea of and then most people take pictures of each of the componentry that's in it, right? Each of the sub-assembly stuff. Whoops. But there's the final panel. And the catalog or the unit, but you can see you can do a lot of neat stuff, right? With the system. So I just wanted you to see that.
Thank you.
And SPAs automatically notify you if there's an SPA. I'll show you this here in a second. So if I punch this in and I put in, let's say 5, it tells me that my cost is $25 and the selling price is 45. But if they ask for 10, it comes up and says, I just want you to know there's a special pricing agreement from them. And if you buy more, the cost will go to $20 for this customer. And you want to use the new cost, you can say yes. Now, if it goes to a 25, so the cost goes to 1750. If you go to 50, not 502, let's go to 50. It goes to $16. If you want to look at those tables, all you do is come over to here, and you can look at the SPAs would be in this window. You can look at for all locations, all customers, all dates. So all your SPAs for that part would be right there, and you can select off that table, but it would automatically grab that if it applies for SPA. So, but you don't need to worry about that. The template comments, another big thing. Again, if you sell engineered products, this is big. So if you sell pumps, for example, this is vital that you capture this while you're talking to them on the phone. Because if you don't, you're asking for trouble. Because when you go to build this or buy it from the manufacturer, if you don't get this information, it's inevitable at some point you're going to make a mistake and end up owning this thing and not you don't really want to. So I've got it set where it comes up and puts it in their face. So when you click OK and put the quantity in, all they do is got to click this button here, and it'll can have it stop. So you can just put this information in, right? And then it automatically will put it on the PO. I have it set where it automatically puts on the PO, the quote, and the acknowledgement. So I just click 2 buttons. I had the pop-up come up, and then you train your people to hit the comments, and then have them click at these fields here, just plug them in, and it will automatically put it on the PO automatically. So I got at least 30, 40, 50 of these set up for all kinds of unique things, pumps, valves, cylinders, motors, things that require a lot of questions that you need to be asking people. Like, let me just show you like a bit of a cylinder. When you sell one of these, you need to ask all these questions, right? Let's see. This is to tear down, but let's, like on a cylinder, you need to ask the rod size, the piston, but I've got so many.
So Bill, you're saying you can link these to specific part numbers or product groups or something like that? Is that what you're saying? Or
That's
so
what
then
I'm
they
saying.
automatically are pumping it? Okay. Because we do
Yeah.
that with our repairs right now. Every repair has a generic part number that specifies the brand, and then they have to fill in all those comment templates. So that's cool. We could use
Yep,
that.
and I have that with every like cylinder I repair, every pump, it'll say pump dash Dan Foch, pump dash Parker, pump, right? So it, because it has different componentry, right? So yeah, like Bimba cylinders, right? Parker cylinders, Dan Foch cylinders. So because they have different componentries in some cases. So you'll see all that kind of stuff. But yeah. So that's kind of neat. Let's see if there's any, the bill of materials, we're almost done. Let's see. So this is just a multi-level bill of material. I just happen to have a hose because it's pretty slick. But this is one of my customers gave me this because I would never take the time to set this up because it's pretty slick what they did. This is a customer that sells this hose assembly to the power gen industry every day. This customer comes and picks these up from them at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They come in the morning and they build this. This is the customer's part number. These are all the loose parts that goes in this big box, and these are all the assemblies that go into that box. So every day they come and grab these. That just gives you an idea of a multi-level, it's a 2-level hose assembly, right? So that's one example. Here's another cool thing. If you sell, again, I keep bringing this up, 200 PSI working pressure. And again, that's an example of me doing a search on that kind of stuff. But here's an example. If you sell, again, I apologize, hose. When you're selling hose, this happens all day long to the big OEMs. Sometimes you have to sell it to them coupled, sometimes non-coupled. Again, coupled, right? You're building it. Non-coupled, you just want a pick ticket and you want that shipped out, and they're going to do it themselves because you've either loaned them the crimper, sold them the crimper, or gave it to them. So instead of me having to figure all that out, I just created 2 different versions, and off to the races I go. And then in this case, it creates the bill of material, the work order, and shows me the breakdown and the assembly and the labor charges. So. And then you can external fabrications within a bill. It's so much easier. It just so LD. Watch this. It'll create a work order within a work order here on a external fab within an internal fab. Our competitors cannot do this. I've yet to come across it where they can do this. So in this case, these are raw material that goes out. This part goes out and gets actually copper plated. So this will create a purchase order, and it's really slick. It creates a pick ticket with the instructions on what to do to it, sends it out to the fabricator. It comes back as this. When they receive it, it tells it to take it right to this work order. It's really, really, really slick. This is probably one of the slickest features in the software that they've done such a fabulous job with this. And I hope our competitors never figure it out, because they got to do two separate, they got to create a separate work order outside the work order to achieve this, where we've got this thing streamlined. And our guys should be proud, because it's pretty slick, especially with the work center, same if it's offsite. And when I show this, their jaw hits the table. So, and then our OHSM and Tribute, again, that's been a game changer. They've been trying to steal it. Our competitors got about 60% of it because they stole it back in the 90s, but they still don't have it all figured out. But it's way easier, even, I think, than what you got today. But male pipe, size, right? Boom, boom. Again, 1 to 3 seconds. You're done. And then I've done what you do now is I've got, let's see, I think it's Weatherhead. That's not the one. You can do some cool things like gauges if you sell gauges. I did this for somebody. This is actual a gauge assembly that works that I got set up. They answer this and it builds the gauge. I did one for a pump for somebody. I did one, I'm trying to think, a motor, I think. So you can use this.
Is this kind of like that catalog lookup feature? Kind of, is that what this is?
It's equivalent
Similar
to
where you type in, fill in the fields, and it finds a model number that meets that criteria.
It's like the auto build, but it's a little bit more sophisticated.
Okay.
So it uses these, and we have item aliases where you can link parts together through it. So, but
yeah, I use the auto build when I was with Papco, but Dale Prentice doesn't sell hose. Couldn't really apply it, but
it uses. I have this for anything. I mean, it's not just for hose. Obviously, it was originally designed for hose, but you can see I've got visual flow indicators in here. I've got you name. I mean, I've got conveyor belts in there. Heated. Let's see. I've got all kinds of crazy stuff in here. You'll see.
Could you take like a manufacturer's model code breakdown and then fill in the fields, and it would find the part that we have in the system? Is that, or is it creating a bill of material?
Either or.
Either or.
You can
Okay,
do it
that's
that way.
nice
Yep.
to know. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, that's nice to know.
Trying to think if there's anything else. Let's see. So that's kind of it. I'm going to show a quick repair, but does anybody any questions at the end of the order? Again, it shows your running total. We've done 20. We're at 23,000. Put $906 in the bank. You can quickly scroll down here and see where I'm at. So I'm making pretty good margin. This is probably the only one I need to fix in that one right there. But other than that, it also shows you where POs will be cut or stock transfers. It shows you out here on the right. Let's see what else. If there's anything else I didn't need to show you. Anybody got any questions or comments before I go on? Stuff going on. I got all these pictures and so I've got about 3 minutes, but we can do it quickly here. So on a repair, so I'm just going to do a cylinder. I've got pumps, modes, valves. This customer calls up, wants this repair. They can come to the counter either way. So all you do is, and what I've done is I've taken that same thing that Howard just asking about, that configurator. So it creates a unique part each and every time. So here's a cylinder. So what it does, it asks for who the manufacturer is, because we fixed anything if we know the serial or the model number, and in this case, the cylinder size or the bore. So let me see what I've got here. The customer said he either comes to the counter and throws down or calls me up. And this happens to be an old Vickers, and he would know this part because this is what he did at Petco. Vickers VG4. I'll just say VG series. Whoops. Manufacturer. We'll just say Eaton. Stickers. EG4. Oops, and it's a 4-inch. So what the system will do is it'll create a part number. I have it automatically bring in shop supply, so I just have it bring in X number of dollars to cover the miscellaneous stuff, right? And then I also have a 30-minute teardown inspection fee. So at which point it's going to create that part. If I've ever repaired it before, if it finds that, it'll come up and it'll show me if I've ever repaired it before. I put that in, and then when I click OK, I've created user-defined fields so we can track the. I've written a query so I can look at the serial number, so I can run a query if this has ever been in before, and see if that's been ever repaired before. So then what I'm going to do here, I'll just show you something. I have it. Could have it where I'm going to put in what was wrong with it too. So if you click this edit comments here, you can actually put in what's wrong with it here. Actually, I created a template though, so I don't have to rekey it every single time. With all the different things that can go wrong, you can just cut and paste what can go wrong, like this one, seal failure, fluid contamination, and then you can either I can put that on the work order, right, and then also on the line to the customer. So this is what the technician. If he goes out there and starts working on it, and you can just actually dictate what's wrong with it, and this puts it on the quote, for example, or the customer tells you what it is, you can do it there either way or both. So, so if you notice, I didn't put any of this in there. So I got my inspection time, my shop supplies. You can also have it add burden. You can either manually add it or put it in. I can add $20, some overhead. So we're going to start off with some cost. So when I'm done, I'm going to email them this quote to sign off on, just for liability purposes. You're going to want to sign off on this. You're going to see why in a minute. A customer of ours was kind enough to give me this template that they had an attorney draw up, and because they got sued for they dropped the cylinder off, it got repaired. Customer never came back and got it, so they threw it away, took it to the scrapyard. The customer did decide to come back 6 months later, and it was already been destroyed, and they got sued and they lost. So basically it says if you don't come back in 60 days, it becomes our asset. And down here it just says this is what we're going to look at. We're going to tear it down. You're paying me $61 half hour. These are the things you said was wrong with it. And then it'll generate whoops, I'll show you this document. It'll generate I don't have it set because 2-page document. It looks like this. Only if I'm doing the demo, you'll see it. So this will print out to the shop, and you'll put this in a plastic sleeve, twisty tie it. So again, this is the first page. It would have all those notes I just showed you. And the second page would have a tear down. So a cylinder is a cylinder, right? It's got the same stuff that can go bad. So this is a standard cylinder tear down sheet. I got one for pumps, valves, motors. So the technician will go through, check off what's bad. If we have the part in stock, if not, we got to order it. Same thing, what's wrong with it, estimated time, who the tech is. He or she will either do it themselves or give to somebody else the key into the system. They'll order it, email it, they'll come back. They'll open the quote back up. He or she will then just click 2 buttons. They'll click here, and start keying in what was wrong. The technician told me that the shaft seal was shot. It was we have plenty in stock, Hercules. So they need one of those. They need a rod scraper. And we also needed a rod bearing. And then also I'm going to charge them for labor. So there's a labor button down here. If you know it, you can key it in. If you don't, click here, and it's got all the labor categories, and you'll see it's got honing the barrel and all the inspection, labor, right? So you can just pick off the screen here. I'm going to do a half hour labor. So I go through and add all that up. I'll send them the quote. It's going to say you started off at 61. They're going to pay me $357 to fix it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quote them the repair at $357, and the second line is going to be for a brand new one at $700, and they're going to tell me which one they want. So it's going to flash twice, and then I'll create another line and create a new one. I'll send it over to them, and then I'll update it. And once they decide, and then there's a screen where they get into the labor and get into all that stuff. So
nice.
That's my story. that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Questions, comments? What do you think? Any feedback? I hope I know what I sound like I'm talking about after 37 years, but if I don't, I get it. Anybody? Nobody?
It's impressive. I mean, big jump from Tribute to TrulinX. Now just convincing others that it's time to invest some money. So,
you have to look at it. That's why I'd have to do a personal demo, right? Set up your stuff, right? So they can see. I could clearly identify the time savings, like in each functional area from when the call comes in to collecting cash. So I would just, basically what I do, Howard, is I'd come up initially. Well, in your case, it sounds like I'd have to come to Denver, but I'd like to see the operations, kind of get a feel for what you do so I can see it with my own eyes, right? And then I'd go back, I'd collect some sample orders or and then set that up and then come back and demo against that. So I'm showing you your stuff. And I think when they see the process and the time savings, it pretty much, the ROI from the people that are willing to share their numbers with me, it's usually about an 8-month return on investment. And the ones that have shared it with me in confidence, they're telling me that the gross margin bottom line bump is anywhere from 1.5 to 6, and that there's about a 25 to 27% increase in productivity because there's steps taken out of the process. So there's definitely return on investment. And I know people don't like spend that kind of money, but if I can clearly show that there's a time savings on the monthly investment, because obviously we're not going to make you pay that money up front. We break it down into a 5-year investment, right, on a monthly fee. It's really easy to swallow. So, but we'll work with you. And you guys have been on the system a long time, so we offer a pretty hefty discount as well. So we give you 2% per year up to 25 years a discount. So,
okay.
Well, if you got any questions or you want to take it a step further, please email me. I'd be more than willing, again, spend some more time with you. And or if you just got some questions, please feel free to reach out. You tell me I still enjoy doing this, and I really believe I can help you guys out. So I appreciate it all. Again, thank you. And again, if you're interested in me coming and visiting, I'd love to come visit. Again, any questions, comments, reach out. Otherwise, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I hope to hear from you all.
All right, thanks.
Before we leave, I just wanted to remind everybody that this is the first of a 4-part series. So next Thursday, we have Jeff Waite with TrulinX Air. And then the following Thursday is Ben with production management. And then the final video or the final webinar will be with Rachel Crawford, who's the manager of implementations, and Tom Noble, the president of the company, who's going to go over what TrulinX is doing to just, what is in our development plans. So
Okay.
thank you very much
Good
for
deal.
attending.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.